The station wagon, a 10-year-old rust bucket, crunches way down a gravel road that seemed to lead to the edge of the world. To the left and the right, a wall of green. Corn, endless corn, taller than a man, its leaves rustling together like 1,000 dry whispers. Tom Miller gripped the wheel, his knuckles white. Beside him, his wife Sarah stared out the window, her reflection a pale ghost against the unbroken sea of green. In the back, their 16-year-old daughter, Chloe, had her headphones on, a deliberate shield against the world, while 12-year-old Leo pressed his face against the glass, his breath fogging a small circle on the window. Almost there, according to the GPS. Another mile or so, Tom said, his voice strained with an attempt at optimism. Another mile of corn. Is there anything in Iowa but corn? Sarah replied, her voice flat. It's so tall. You could get lost in here forever. Leo said from the back seat, his voice full of genuine wonder. Great. Something to look forward to, Chloe muttered, just loud enough to be heard. Tom didn't respond. He couldn't. Sarah's cynicism was a familiar weight in his gut, a constant reminder of his failures. The failed business, the mounting debt, the foreclosure notice that had been their final death sentence in Chicago. This farm, this inheritance from a great-uncle he'd met once as a child, was their last roll of the dice. A great-uncle Jedediah Miller, a man his own father had called a strange hermit, a man who had apparently owned a sizable farm and had no one else to leave it to. The car crested a small hill. The cornfields broke, revealing a valley. In the center of the valley sat a 2-story white farmhouse, a large red barn, and a handful of outbuildings. The whole scene looked like a painting, but a slightly off one. The sky was a little too gray, the colors a little too muted. Whoa! Look! Leo exclaimed. Sarah finally turned, her expression softening for the first time in days. The house was old, but it looked sturdy. A wide porch wrapped around the front, and a large oak tree stood sentinel in the yard. It was a picture of a peaceful rural life, the life they had been dreaming of. Well, it's not the Chicago skyline, Sarah admitted. It's a start, Tom said, a small, hopeful smile touching his lips. They pulled up in front of the house, the gravel crunching under the tires one last time. The engine died, and the silence that rushed and filled the void was absolute. It wasn't a peaceful silence. It was a heavy, listening silence. The kind of silence you feel in an old library or graveyard. As they stepped out of the car, the air was cool and smelled of damp earth and something else, something sweet and cloying, like overripe fruit. Smells weird, Leo noted. Everything smells weird here, Chloe said, taking off her headphones and wrinkling her nose. Tom walked to the front door, the key from the envelope feeling cold and alien in his hand. He slid it into the lock. It turned with a well-oiled click. The door swung open, revealing a dark hallway. The air inside was stale, thick with the scent of dust and disuse, but underneath it, that same sweet, rotting smell. Hello? Mr. Henderson? The lawyer said he'd meet us here, Tom called out, his voice echoing in the stillness. There was no answer. They stepped inside, their footsteps loud on the hardwood floors. The house was furnished, but it was like a museum exhibit from the 1970s. Plaid couches, dark with paneling, a rotary phone on a side table. It was clean, almost obsessively so. Not a speck of dust, not a cobweb in the corners. It was as if the previous occupant had simply vanished. This is cleaner than I expected, Sarah said. As they explored the house, they found the same thing everywhere. Immaculate, but frozen in time. In the kitchen, a calendar hung on the wall, flipped to a date 6 months ago. The date was circled in red ink. October 31st. Below it, written in a spidery hand, were 2 words. The harvest. What's that mean, Dad? Leo asked. Probably just Harvest time. For the corn, you know, Tom replied, though he didn't sound convinced. He felt a prickle on the back of his neck. Upstairs, they found 3 bedrooms. The master bedroom had a large window that looked out over the back of the property, toward the barn and the cornfield that stretched to the horizon. And there, in the middle of the field, stood a single scarecrow. It was a strange thing. Most scarecrows are a haphazard collection of old clothes and straw. This one was different. It was dressed in a pair of clean, faded overalls and a checkered shirt. Its head was a burlap sack, and its face was painted on with surprising amount of detail. 2 black dots for eyes, a simple line for a mouth. But it was the posture that was unsettling. It wasn't slumped or dangling from a cross. It was standing straight, one hand raised as if in greeting. It seemed to be looking directly at the house. "That's creepy," Chloe said. Just then, a truck pulled into the driveway. An old Ford F-150, gleaming and well-maintained. A man got out. He was tall and broad, with a friendly, open face and a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He wore a flannel shirt and jeans, the uniform of the Midwest. "Howdy, you must be the Millers." "Welcome to Holloway," the man said, striding towards him with his hand outstretched. "Yes, I'm Tom. This is my wife, Sarah, and our kids, Chloe and Leo. Pleasure to meet you all. I'm Mayor Hendricks, John Hendricks. Sorry I'm a little late. Had some town business to attend to. You settling in all right?" he said, shaking Tom's hand with a grip like a vice. "It's a beautiful house, Mr. Hendricks. Very clean," Sarah said. "Please call me John. And yes, we take care of our own in Holloway. We were sorry to hear about old Jed. He was a quiet one, but a good man, a pillar of the community," the mayor said, his eyes flicking past them, scanning the house, the yard, as if taking inventory. His gaze lingered on the upstairs window, where the family had been standing. "You picked a fine time to arrive. The town's just coming alive. Fall is a special season here. We've got our annual festival coming up, the Festival of the Last Sheaf. It's a real old-fashioned celebration, a time for giving thanks for a bountiful harvest," he said, his voice filled with a strange reverence. "Oh, it's more than nice. It's essential. It's what keeps this town thriving. Has for over 150 years. We're all very excited. You'll see, everyone in Holloway is very excited for the harvest." As he spoke, a gust of wind rustled the leaves of the oak tree, and for a moment, it sounded like a long, drawn-out sigh from the direction of the cornfield. The scarecrow seemed to watch them, its painted-on smile a silent, knowing secret. The first night in the Millers' new home was a study in unease. The silence from the day had deepened, becoming a physical presence in the house. It was a silence that pressed on the ears, making every creak of the floorboards, every groan of the pipes, sound like a shout. Tom and Sarah lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. "Did you lock the doors?" Sarah whispered. "Yeah, of course. That mayor," he seemed a little intense. "He's a small-town mayor, Sarah. They're all like that, eager to make a good impression." It wasn't just that. It was the way he looked at the house, like he was inspecting it, and the way he said, "Harvest." It gave me chills. Tom didn't answer, but he agreed. There was something off about John Hendricks. Down the hall, Chloe was scrolling through her phone, desperate for a signal. There was none. No bars. No Wi-Fi. She was completely cut off. Leo was already asleep, his breathing even and deep. Then a floorboard creaked downstairs. Tom sat up in bed, his heart thumping. "What was that?" Sarah asked. Probably just the house settling. But it didn't sound like settling. It sounded like a footstep. A slow, deliberate footstep on the hardwood floor in the living room. Tom swung his legs out of bed, and grabbed a baseball bat he'd left leaning against the wall. "Tom, don't. I'm just going to look." He crept out of the bedroom and down the hall, the floorboards cool under his bare feet. The house was dark, but a sliver of moonlight shone through the window at the top of the stairs, casting long, distorted shadows. He peered down into the living room. It was empty. Everything was just as they had left it. He was about to turn back when he saw it. The front door. It was slightly ajar. He could have sworn he'd locked it. He was sure of it. Another floorboard creaked, this time closer. He froze. The sound hadn't come from downstairs. It had come from behind him, from Leo's room. He spun around, his heart hammering against his ribs. The door to Leo's room was open. He crept towards it, the baseball bat raised. He peeked inside. Leo was still asleep in his bed. The window was open, the curtains billowing gently in the breeze. That must have been it. The wind. He let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. He crossed the room and closed the window, latching it tightly. As he turned to leave, his eyes fell on the scarecrow. Through the window, out in the moonlit cornfield, it stood. For a second, with the way the shadows fell, it looked like it had moved. Closer. He shook his head. It was a trick of the light. He went back to bed, but sleep didn't come. The next morning, the sun was shining, and the world seemed normal again. A woman appeared at their door around 9, carrying a wicker basket filled with homemade bread, a jar of jam, and a fresh-baked apple pie. She introduced herself as Martha, the mayor's wife. "Welcome, welcome. We're all just so thrilled to have you here. It's been too long since this house has had a family in it. Here's a little something to get you started," she said, her voice warm and motherly. "Oh, Martha, this is so kind." "Thank you," Sarah said, accepting the basket. "It's nothing, dear. We take care of each other in Holloway. John tells me you're from the city. You'll find it's a bit different here. Slower, simpler. We value community. We value tradition." As Martha talked, she bustled into the kitchen, putting the jam in the fridge and the pie on the counter. She moved with an easy familiarity, as if she owned the place. "Now, the festival is just a week away. We're all busy preparing. We'd love for you all to be involved. Chloe, you're a bright young thing. You could help with the decorations. And Leo, we need some strong young boys to help with the hayride setup." "I'm not really a decoration kind of person," Chloe said. "Nonsense. It'll be fun. It's a good way to meet the other young people. Everyone your age will be there," Martha said, her smile never faltering, but her eyes holding a flicker of something cold. The way she said, everyone left no room for argument. Over the next few days, the Millers were introduced to the town of Holloway. It was a picture-perfect community. The streets were clean, the lawns were manicured, and everyone they met was friendly, almost overwhelmingly so. But there was an undercurrent of something else, a strange collective intensity. Everyone they spoke to, from the cashier at the general store to the mechanic at the garage, mentioned the festival of the last sheaf. One afternoon, Tom went to the general store. The owner, a man named Silas with face as wrinkled as a walnut, was stacking cans on a shelf. "Busy place," Tom said. "Getting ready. The harvest is coming," Silas said, without turning around. "So I've heard. Everyone seems very excited about it." Silas turned to face Tom, his eyes pale and milky. "Excited? Son, it's not about excitement. It's about necessity. The soil gives and the soil takes. It's a covenant, an agreement. We honor it and it honors us. Break the covenant and the soil turns sour. The crops wither. The town dies." He leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Your great-uncle, Jed, he understood. He was a good provider. He always did his part. He understood the price of a good harvest. The price? What are you talking about? Tom asked. Silas just shook his head and went back to his cans, the conversation clearly over. Tom left the store feeling more confused than ever. That evening, he decided to explore the barn. It was a large, imposing structure, painted a deep blood red. The doors were heavy, but they swung open with a gentle push. The inside was vast and empty, filled with the smell of old hay and manure. In the center of the floor was a large, circular stain, dark and rust-colored. Tom walked towards it, his footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. He knelt down and touched the stain. It was dry and flaky. It looked old, but it also looked like it had been scrubbed repeatedly. As he examined it, he noticed something else. Carved into the wooden floorboards, almost invisible in the dim light, were symbols. Strange, spiraling patterns, interwoven with what looked like stalks of corn. A strong gust of wind blew through the barn, making the doors groan. Tom looked up, startled. Standing in the doorway, silhouetted against the setting sun, was Chloe. "Dad, what are you doing in here?" she asked. "Just exploring. This is a big barn," Tom said, standing up quickly. "This place gives me the creeps. The people are weird. They just stare, and they all ask the same questions. Are we happy? Are we settling in? Do we like the corn?" she said. "They're just being friendly. Honey, they're not used to new people." "No, it's not that. It's like they're sizing us up, like we're cattle in auction." Tom looked at his daughter, at the genuine fear in her eyes. He couldn't dismiss her feelings with a platitude this time, because she was right. There was something deeply wrong with this town. The days leading up to the festival were a blur of forced cheer and mounting dread. The town of Holloway was in a frenzy of preparation. Banners in shades of orange and brown were strung across Main Street. Scarecrows, all with the same strangely lifelike posture as the one in the miller's field, began to appear on every corner. Chloe had been conscripted into the decorating committee, a task she performed with a sullen silence that the other teenagers seemed to find amusing. "Oh, Chloe, you're from the city? You must be so bored here," one girl said. "You won't be bored for long. The festival is life-changing. Everyone comes together. It's a real community bonding experience," a boy added. The way he said bonding sent a shiver down Chloe's spine. Meanwhile, Leo had found a friend, a boy his age named Billy, the mayor's son. Billy was a quiet, intense kid who seemed to know everything about the town's history. "And my great-great-grandfather was the first one to make the deal. He saved the whole town. There was a drought, and the crops were dying. They were starving," Billy told Leo. "A deal? With who?" "With the ground, with the spirit of the corn. He promised it a gift, a special gift, and in return, the corn grew, tall and strong. It's been that way ever since." "What kind of gift?" Billy leaned in, his voice a whisper. "The best kind, the one that makes everything grow back. A life for a life. That's the covenant." Leo didn't fully understand, but the words hung in the air, heavy and ominous. Back at the house, Sarah was trying to create a sense of normalcy. One afternoon, she was hanging laundry on the line in the backyard. She glanced over at the scarecrow in the field. It was the same as always, but as she watched, a crow landed on its outstretched arm. It cawed loudly. Then another crow landed, and another. Soon, the scarecrow was covered in a seething black mass of crows, all cawing and screeching, their beady eyes fixed on her. Sarah dropped the clothespin she was holding and backed away, her heart pounding. She ran inside, locking the door behind her. When she looked out the window a few minutes later, they were gone. The scarecrow stood alone, its painted smile seeming to mock her. That night, Tom couldn't sleep. He went down to the living room and started rummaging through the boxes they hadn't unpacked yet. He was looking for anything related to his great-uncle Jed. In a small, dusty box marked Jed's Things, he found a leather-bound journal. He sat down in the armchair and opened it. The first entries were mundane, but as he went deeper, the tone changed. The entries became more erratic, more desperate. October 5th. The corn is good this year. Too good. It's growing faster than it should. The town is pleased. They say I am a good provider. I don't feel like a provider. I feel like a farmer tending a crop he doesn't own. October 12th. The whispers have started. At night, when the wind blows through the corn, it sounds like voices. They're not speaking English. It's an older language, the language of the soil. They're hungry. They're always hungry. October 20th, I saw it last night. In the moonlight, the scarecrow moved. It wasn't a big movement, just a twitch of its head, like it was looking at me. I'm losing my mind. I have to be. October 28th, Martha came by today. She brought a pie. She asked me if I was ready. She said the town was counting on me. She said it was an honor to feed the soil, to ensure the future of Holloway. Her smile was so wide, it didn't fit her face. October 30th, I know what I have to do. There is no escape. The covenant is binding. The soil provides and the soil takes. I found the old book in the cellar. The rituals, the symbols, it's all here. It's been here all along, waiting for me, for the next farmer, the next provider. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The last entry was dated October 31st of the previous year. It was just one sentence, scrawled in a frantic, spidery hand. The harvest is here. Forgive me. Tom slammed the journal shut. His hands were shaking. A cold dread washed over him. It wasn't just a story. It was real. His great-uncle hadn't died of natural causes. He had been a part of this. He had been the harvest. And now, the Millers were the new farmers. He ran upstairs to Sarah. We have to leave. Now. Tonight. Tom, what is it? What's wrong? She asked, alarmed. Everything. This town, this farm, it's a trap. We have to get the kids and go. As he spoke, the lights in the house flickered and went out. They were plunged into darkness. Outside, the wind began to howl, and from the cornfield, a new sound began to rise. A rhythmic, chanting sound. Dozens of voices, all joined together in a strange guttural language. Panic seized the house. The chanting outside grew louder. Tom fumbled for his phone, but of course, there was no signal. A rock crashed through the window of the master bedroom, showering the floor with glass. Then another. The front door splintered as something heavy was thrown against it. Dad, Mom. Chloe screamed from her room. Tom and Sarah ran down the hall. She was huddled in a corner, her face pale with terror. Leo was with her, his eyes wide with tears. It's okay. We're getting out of here, Tom said. He led them to the back of the house, to the kitchen. The back door was still intact. He peered out the window. The yard was empty, but the cornfield was alive. Dark figures moved between the stalks. The chanting was deafening. We have to make a run for the car. It's our only chance, Tom said. They'll see us. Sarah cried. We have to try. He wrenched open the back door, and they stumbled out into the night. They ran across the yard, their feet slipping on the wet grass. They were halfway to the car when a figure stepped out from the side of the house. It was Mayor Hendricks. He was holding a shotgun, but he wasn't pointing it at them. Behind him, other townspeople emerged from the shadows. Martha, Silas, the teenagers. They all had the same serene, expectant looks on their faces. Now, Tom, there's no need for this. "Don't make this difficult," the mayor said, his voice calm. "Stay away from us." "What is this? What are you doing?" Tom yelled, standing in front of his family. "We're not doing anything. This is the town's business, the soil's business. Your great-uncle understood. He knew his duty. He made the choice," the mayor said. "Choice? What choice? You're monsters." Sarah screamed. "We're survivors. This town was dying. The land was cursed. Until we made the covenant. A life for the life of the town. A seed for a season. It's a beautiful, natural cycle. You should be honored. Your family has been chosen to provide for us all," the mayor said, gesturing towards a cornfield. The townspeople began to move forward, their steps slow and deliberate. In that moment, Leo broke free from his mother's grasp and ran. Not toward the car, but towards a barn. "Leo, no!" Tom shouted. Two of the men broke off and followed Leo towards a barn. Tom, Sarah, and Chloe were surrounded. The chanting grew louder. The townspeople began to close in, their hands outstretched. Their faces were no longer friendly. They were masks of pure, primal need. They were grabbed, pulled apart. Tom fought, but there were too many of them. He saw Sarah being dragged away, her screams lost in the din. He saw Chloe, her face a mask of defiance, being pulled towards a cornfield. He was forced to his knees. Mayor Hendricks stood over him. "It's a noble sacrifice, Tom. Your family will be remembered. Your blood will nourish this land for generations to come," the mayor said. Suddenly, a loud, metallic screech echoed from the direction of the barn. It was the sound of the heavy barn doors being thrown open. The chanting faltered. Everyone turned to look. It was Leo. He had found the old, rusty side hanging on the barn wall. He stood in the doorway, holding it, his face streaked with tears and dirt. He looked small and terrified, but there was a flicker of defiance in his eyes. Then the provider, the new spirit of the corn, the mayor whispered, a look of awe on his face. But Leo wasn't a spirit. He was just a scared, desperate boy. He let out a cry, the sound of pure fear and rage, and charged, not the crowd, but the mayor. The townspeople, stunned for a moment, scrambled to intercept him. In the chaos, Tom scrambled to his feet. He saw Sarah, huddled by the side of the house, and ran to her. He grabbed her hand. "We have to go. Now," he yelled. They ran, not to the car, but away from the barn, away from the chaos. They ran towards the road. As they reached the edge of the property, they looked back. They saw the townspeople swarm Leo, disarming him, pulling him down. They saw Chloe being dragged toward the center of the field, toward a large, flat stone altar they hadn't seen before, covered in the same strange symbols from the barn floor. "Chloe!" Sarah screamed, but Tom pulled her away. We can't help her," he cried, his own voice breaking. They ran down the dark, empty road, not stopping until their lungs burned and their legs gave out. They didn't look back. Days later, they were picked up by a state trooper on a desolate highway. Their story was a jumbled, incoherent mess. The official investigation of Holloway, Iowa, found nothing. The town was deserted. The houses were clean. The streets were empty. There was no sign of a struggle, no bodies. It was as if the entire town had simply vanished. The Miller story was filed away as a tragic case of folie à deux. They never went back. But sometimes on a cold autumn night, when the wind blows just right, Tom Miller swears he can hear the sound of rustling corn, and his daughter's voice, calling his name, carried on the breeze. The covenant was broken, but the soil remains, waiting, always waiting for the next harvest.